So now we're going to watch a brief video on what is deontological ethics.
Welcome back to CurrentAids.org. Today we're going to continue with our series, The Good, the Bad, and Philosophy. In this video we're going to be answering the question, what is deontology? So, deontological theories of ethics are arguably the most popular in the world. It's only because the normative version of divine command theory, which basically says that God dictates what you should and should not do, is a type of deontological theory. Though one that we're going to save for a future series, probably more in philosophy of religion. Deontological theories focus on right action as opposed to good consequences or virtuous people. Deontology is one of the three major normative theories of ethics, along with consequentialism, which focuses on good consequences, and virtue ethics, which focuses on virtues and virtuous people. Theories which make rules as to which actions are obligatory, permissible, and impermissible in various situations are generally considered to be deontological theories of ethics. So basically, for the deontologist, what matters is whether or not you follow the rules. And different theories have different rules and ways of deciding what is a rule or a maxim and what isn't. Your action is right if and only if it conforms to the moral norm set forth by a particular theory. Wrong.
Many deontological
theories, some actions are forbidden no matter how good the consequence.
Even if I could
save 1,000 people, I'm not allowed to kill one.
Even if I could
save my family from starvation, I cannot steal.
Note, those are just
examples. They might not be every single deontological theory, but some of them will say something along those lines. No matter how good the consequences, you can't break a rule. It's still wrong to break a rule.
This can be starkly
contrasted with consequentialist theories of ethics where actions are judged based on their consequences.
So, if good consequences stack up enough, consequentialist theories usually you're allowed to do something that deontologists might say you're not allowed to do. Often deontologists criticize for being too restrictive, while consequentialism is disparaged for being too permissive. So basically, thinking about this distinction for deontology,
right or wrong action is what's primary.
It's impermissible to commit sexual assault because it's against the rules of morality. And different theories, which we'll get into in the rest of the series, will say those rules of morality are different things or are based on different ideas. Whereas for consequentialism, the good or bad consequences are primary. Sexual assault brings about a bad state of affairs, therefore However,
wrong.
both of these are deontic theories because they focus on actions as opposed to archaic theories which focus on virtues. So that was deontology. Next Kantian ethics, agent-centered theories of deontology, patient-centered theories of deontology, and we'll look into consequentialism and finally virtue. Watch this video and more at CurrentAids.org. Stay skeptical, everybody.
Okay, so you learned a little more about deontological ethics, and I would like you to watch a little more on theological theories. So concerns the consequences of actions, applied ethics, which is the analysis of specific, controversial moral issues. Principalism resolves conflicts by applying principles more so than theories. And relational ethics, ethics of care and caring.
Applied ethics is the philosophical examination, from a moral standpoint, of particular issues in private and public life which are matters of moral judgment. It is thus the attempt to use philosophical methods to identify the morally correct course of action in various fields of everyday life. For example, the bioethics community is concerned with identifying the correct approach to legal issues in the life sciences, such as euthanasia, the allocation of scarce health resources, or the use of human embryos in research. Environmental ethics is concerned with ecological questions such as the responsibility of government and corporations to clean up pollution. Social ethics includes the duties or duty of whistleblowers to the general public as opposed to their loyalty to their employers. As such, it is an area of professional philosophy that is relatively well paid and highly valued both within and outside of academia. Applied ethics is distinguished from normative ethics, which concerns what people should believe to be right and wrong, and from metaethics, which concerns the nature of moral statements. An emerging topology for applied ethics, Porter, 2006, uses 6 domains to help improve organizations and social issues at the national and global level: decision ethics, or ethical theories and ethical decision processes; professional ethics, or ethics to improve professionalism; clinical ethics, or ethics to improve our basic health needs; business ethics, or individual-based morals to improve ethics in a business environment; organizational ethics, or ethics among organizations; social ethics, or ethics among nations, and as one global unit.
Next, we're going to talk about principlism.
Talk about a newer ethical theory called principlism. So in the last lecture, I talked about some historical ethical theory, mainly thoughts of Immanuel Kant and Jeremy Bentham. But principlism is something that was actually devised by American philosophers more recently. In fact, it was developed in the 1970s, and the first book was written about it in the 1980s. So these are the two main professors who really were involved in thinking of this ethical theory called principlism and applying it. Tom Beauchamp is a professor at Georgetown University, and James Childress is professor at the University of Virginia. Tom Beauchamp was involved in the Belmont Report, which had a lot to do about the ethics of humans in medicine and research. And so basically, what is principlism? Principlism is the idea that you are going to take 4 main principles, the principles of autonomy, beneficence, non-malfeasance, and justice, and I'll define them in a minute, and that you're going to balance these 4 principles when you think about an ethical question. So these 2 philosophers wrote the first book about principlism called Principles of Biomedical Ethics. It was published in 1985. It's really the most standard bioethical textbook, and it's currently in its 6th edition. So what are these 4 main principles that make up principlism? The first is the principle of autonomy, and this has to do with respecting the individual. So if you look at this little picture, you see all the little clay figures are white, but there's one that's red, and that is supposed to represent this person's individuality. The other principle is beneficence, or the idea of doing good. There's a principle of non-malfeasance, which is the idea of not doing harm. So this is really central to the doctor's Hippocratic oath that you'll do no harm. And then the idea of justice, that you'll try to act fairly in your decision-making process. So in this class, we're going to do ethical analysis, or we're going to make ethical decisions in a very methodic way. And the simple method we're going to use is called the 4 key questions, and it uses principlism as its basis. So what are the 4 key questions? First, you have to ask yourself what the specific ethical question that you're trying to answer is. You want to make sure that you're very specific, because the broader the question, the more complicated your reasoning becomes. The second question is, who are the stakeholders? Stakeholders are people or institutions that have a stake in your decision. So who's going to care whether you decide that all people are eligible to get a heart transplant or not? Who's going to care if you mandate vaccinations for all boys or something like that? So stakeholders can be people, or they can be institutions or ideas. What's relevant background information? It's really important in this course that we're not just having gut reactions, like, I think it's wrong to do this, or I think the right thing is this. We really have to educate ourselves. Maybe we have to learn about some politics or law or medicine or science or philosophy, but we have to understand background information so that we can make informed decisions. It's really important that opinions are grounded in information. And then finally, the fourth question is, how do the bioethical principles that were outlined by principalism, namely autonomy, beneficence, non-malfeasance, and justice, apply in this case? And you'll balance these four principles in making your ethical decision. So for this next assignment, what you're going to do is look at the ethical question, should vaccination for HPV or human...
Okay. So that was a little bit on principalism. So autonomy is the right to choose what will happen to one's own person. Beneficence discusses actions that should promote good as understood by patient. And non-malfeasance is one should do no harm. Detriment is benefit analysis and concept of double effect. Veracity, individuals should always tell the truth, and fidelity, not promising what cannot be delivered. So even when you said your patient will be back in 5 minutes and you're not back, that's actually, a violation of that ethical principle. Paternalism is making final decisions for others, and it's negative unless used for advocacy, so it's not something you want to use. Respect for others respects the right for people to live and die by their own decisions. So justice. People should be treated fairly and equally. We talked about distributive social justice, so everybody, what's fair for everyone. Retributive or correctional justice, so if someone was withheld something, correcting that injustice. And then compensatory justice is paying someone back for something that was done to them. So, for example, we talk about how Henrietta Lack, her cells were stolen by Johns Hopkins, and the family is getting compensated financially for that, and that is a compensatory justice. Ethics committees provide structure and guidelines for potential problems. They serve as an open forum for discussion and function as a true patient advocate. They're composed of nurses, physicians, clergy, clinical social workers, nutritional experts, pharmacists, administrative personnel, and legal experts, and they come up with opinions for ethical dilemmas. They promote the rights of patients. They promote shared decision-making between patients and healthcare providers. They promote policies that achieve quality patient-centered care, so sometimes within those meetings will come out an ethical policy or a policy based on ethics for an organization. So some organizations, even though you're allowed, like for example, you can designate organ donation if you're HIV positive, and someone would agree to take that despite having HIV and say it was legal, but you had a policy of not harvesting and putting in HIV positive organs. That is an ethical policy that you could follow as a guideline. It enhances the ethical tenor of healthcare professions and institutions. There's different structures. There's the autonomy model, which facilitates decision-making for patients. Patient benefit model facilitates decision-making for incompetent patients. And then social justice model considers broad social issues. So, are we allowed to keep someone alive on a ventilator so that a baby can grow in utero? Is that something that we're going to allow as a policy? So implementing ethics, ethics committees are mandated by JCAHO. Everyone has to have one, and there should be a clear marking on how to contact them. That's part of JCAHO's rules. And policies include a means for resolving conflicts and a description of everyone's role in decision making. An allowable alternative to ethics committees, you can do ethical rounds or have a bioethicist on staff.